Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to talk about Ohio State versus Maryland. Now, this video is being released earlier than normal, and I apologize for any potential issues as I am on vacation and couldn't bring the full head of gear with me. But here I am presenting this to you, and I'm going to preview this game and then give my prediction. So, when I look at Maryland and Ohio State, I see similar teams, but with completely different execution and coaching. Maryland has supposedly a competent quarterback in Taulia Tagovailoa, who was exposed against Iowa, and they do have talent all around at all positions like Ohio State. Maryland is very talented for their so far performance, which has been poor. That Iowa game really did it dirty. West Virginia doesn't look like a good team. And then Ohio State for being, potentially one of the, I think, third most talented team in the country. They're not the third ranked team. So there's that too. So both of these teams here, Ohio State on the rise, Maryland having an awful loss to Iowa. Both looking for a signature win here. Maryland scores an average of 32.6 points a game, allows 21.6. Ohio State scores about 45 points a game and allows 21.2. Ohio State allows about 50 more yards than Maryland does, but produces almost 100 more on offense. So take what you will from that. Ohio State also has the home field advantage. So we're actually going to start off with talking about the obvious favorite, Ohio State favored by 21 points. We're going to talk about the Buckeyes first. The Buckeyes are led, obviously, by CJ Stroud. He has 1,293 passing yards now. His completion percentage is rising, 64.5%. Per pass attempt, he, on average, gets 10.4 yards. 13 touchdowns, 3 picks, only 4 sacks, has a 181.9 QB rating. Amazing kid, played amazing against Rutgers. He still has some growth to do, and I don't think he will be Justin Fields or Dwayne Haskins in the big games. I feel like expecting that, and even just thinking that's a possibility is quite asinine to a certain degree. He looked really good against Rutgers. He's obviously improving, but you can't have three, Haskins and Fields in a row without at least having kind of a hiccup year. And it wouldn't even be a hiccup year. This would be a growth year. This dude came in here in this year not throwing a single collegiate pass. So I am just saying now there will be better defenses. I'm saying Penn State, Michigan possibly, where there will be some mistakes made. Michigan State, you could also bring that up, even though their pass protection is not so good. Maybe even Indiana. There will be a game where he'll make mistakes. He might not lose the game, per se. I don't know if this team is even capable of, dropping a game if we're talking from a super realistic standpoint. But just give him some grace in a certain sense. Treveyon Henderson, true freshman, 510 yards already on the ground, averages 9.4 yards a carry with 7 touchdowns. He's explosive, finishes nicely, just amazing running back. I wish my Wolverines had him. I wish it was him and Corum on in that backfield behind our O-line, but it isn't. Instead, you guys have him, which is something I am very jealous of. You have Henderson, you have Williams, who's coming off an injury and still averages 7.8 yards a carry, and you got Teague, who is, I think, pretty comparable to our Hassan Haskins, except he has about 2 yards average carry better at the moment. Ohio State's run game and pass game, very, very, very dominant. You cannot say that enough. Garret Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. You've heard this several times already, except Wilson now leads as the primary target, at wide receiver and also has nearly 100 more yards than Chris Olave. Smith and Jigba, Olave, and Wilson combined have 12 receiving touchdowns between them. That is absolutely amazing. On defense, this team is led in total tackles by Ronnie Hickman, who also has 2 interceptions, 44 total tackles. Cody Simon has a sack and a pick. Haskell Garrett has 3 sacks. And Tyleik Williams, another defensive tackle, leads with 4 sacks. And Antoine Jackson also has 2 sacks as well. This defense is really, really stepping up its gameplay. And the secondary did as well. I mean, picking off Noah Vedral 3 times, holding Rutgers to 13 points when they have had some, pretty explosive plays in other games. It's pretty impressive in my opinion. Just overall very impressive. Good performance by the Buckeyes in these past few games. It's a really good team. And honestly, they should expect to win this game and expect to be the favorite here. There's no reason right now, looking at this, to believe that Maryland will win. So on that note, we're going to preview the Terrapins. Fear the tortoise. Well, don't fear the tortoise, actually. That's the whole point in even saying that. Taulia Tagovailoa is 1,497 passing yards, 72. He completes 72.2% of his passes. You see, here is where looks can be deceiving. This looks really good. 8.5 yards per attempt. It's not as great as Stroud's, but the completion percentage, the yards, you're like, holy crap, this kid has potential. And he does. And that's the scary part. 12 TDs, 6 picks. And I think 4 of them were against Iowa. And granted, this is to prove how disciplined and good Iowa's defense is too, but this kid cannot, this is a worrying trend. Couldn't do it last year against solid defenses like Northwestern. Maryland crumbled last year against Northwestern when Northwestern had a competent defense, unlike this year where they don't. And Taulia did that all year last year, and this year it looks to so far be on the same page. He just can't do it against good defenses. He can't be that guy. And it sucks because he has he has talent. Those numbers tell you he has talent. Some of the throws I saw him make, even against Iowa, showed he had talent, but he lets stuff get to his head too often. And Ohio State, and I say this as a Michigan fan, Ohio State they are professionals at getting in your head. And Taulia Tagovailoa, if he wants to have a chance at this game, cannot allow this to happen. Just can't do it. Maryland is led on the ground by Tayon Fleet-Davis at running back, 331 yards, 7 yards per carry. I hear this is kind of an inflated number. I haven't watched a great deal of Maryland outside the Iowa game and a little bit of the West Virginia and Illinois game, so I don't know what to really say about that. I saw in the Illinois game, the few times I saw him get carries, were not the greatest carries. He also has 4 touchdowns, so 331 yards, 4 touchdowns. Isaiah Jacobs and Colby McDonald follow him up with a combined 200 yards exactly and a touchdown. Taulia Tagovailoa also has 57 yards of rushing, mostly scrambles, no touchdowns there for him. On the receiving end, what sucks for Maryland is you do have Rakim Jarret, who is really good. He was good last year. He's going to be even better this year. But you lost Dante Demas Jr., and that sucks. I feel bad for the kid. I saw the injury. You have Dante Demas Jr. Your chances of winning this game go up exponentially, and that's not saying you'd be favored here. But Ohio State's secondary, I still think is suspect. I still do. Like the Rutgers game, listen, Ohio State does not have, and last year, again, 2020 proved this, Ohio State does not need to have a secondary to win games. Ohio State could literally have their front seven only on the field, like 7 on 11 football. They would still win over 50% of their games. That is how talented their offense is, and that's how, and it was proven against Rutgers, their defensive line in that game was dominant. And their coverage was good. Coverage was good too. I mean, the whole defense flowed. But Rakim Jarret and Dante Demas are talent. They are great wide receivers. Just absolutely amazing here. And to have them against a still potentially suspect secondary would have been very helpful, but only having one of them is a completely different story because you've just cut your power to burn Ohio State's corners in half. Rakim Jarret, I think, was actually, he was almost recruited by Ohio State, and I think Maryland stole him away. So this will be interesting in a certain sense from that. But Demas led with 507 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Jarret has 4 receiving touchdowns, but only 276 yards. He's followed up by Jashawn Jones with 218 receiving yards, no touchdowns. And Fleet-Davis also has 114 yards and a touchdown in receiving. They're just the top 4 receivers. On defense, Jordan Mosley, the defensive back, leads in total tackles, has a pass defended and a forced fumble. Nick Cross is second in total tackles and has 4 passes defended, 2 picks, and 1 forced fumble as well. Maryland's top 3 leaders in total tackles are defensive backs. Maryland's leaders in sack, you got Sam Okuyenomu. I butchered that name. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. 5 sacks, defensive lineman. Darrell Nchami, 3 sacks. Mosiah Nasili Kite, 2 sacks, 1 pass defended. Okay, I again have to apologize for butchering some of these names, but this recording is being done at 12:44 a.m., and the first name pronounced, I just never even try me with that. Just don't. But Maryland's defense, I've seen their recruiting. They have 5-star linebackers. They have recruited in the top 25. These kids do have talent. The question is, do they execute against Ohio State? Can they hold Ohio State back? And seeing how Spencer Petras, had some pretty good passes, among other things, and I know that Maryland's offense is now going to be proof positive to put them in bad positions, but still, defense has to step up if they want a chance to win this game here. So considering all of these factors, just considering all of them, I am now going to make my prediction. Maryland obviously is pretty talented for, the results they've had on the field this past decade. Mike Loxley's recruiting very highly, at a very high level. John Hoke is a proven DC in the past. Dan Enos is a good QB coach, though a questionable OC. And, Taulia Tagovailoa has talent. But in the end, CJ Stroud, Ohio State's entire offense, I'm not even going to name the names. Again, Chris Olave, Smith and Jigba, Henderson. It just goes on and on and on and on. The entire offense is good. The entire offense is elite. The defense basically just needs a pulse to probably force a turnover from Taulia, just because they'll be pressured from how much Ohio State scores. Ohio State will cover the 21-point spread, probably win by 28-35 points. And I'm saying that because, again, I still think that with Taulia at quarterback and just Maryland being more talented than Rutgers, though not necessarily being better coached, that you could see Maryland scoring a decent amount of garbage time points or even keeping it close for a quarter like they did against Iowa. We'll see. I think Ohio State wins big, and I think it will be another statement win, or somewhat statement win at the minimum. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. Who do you think wins this game? And how much points? I mean, most of you are going to say Ohio State's going to win. So how many points do you think Ohio State will win by? And who will be the most valuable player in this game? Is it going to be Stroud? Is he going to be passing for like 5 touchdowns? Is Henderson going to have an even bigger day? Who is going to be the best player on that field tomorrow? Tell me in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you around.